There's nothing worse than watching a great wrestling match. The action is rolling, and then all of a sudden you get interrupted with a commercial break. And the same can be true when you're listening to your favorite podcast. But now you don't have to worry about those annoying ad breaks anymore with Stitcher Premium. Stitcher Premium is the home to some of the biggest names in podcasting, including this one that you're listening to right now, Talking Taker. But in addition to that, they have all the big guns too. Everything from sports to comedy to true crime you can find over on Stitcher Premium, including exclusive podcasts, bonus episodes, full archives of some of the biggest names in podcasting, and best of all, it's all ad-free. And you can get a free trial of Stitcher Premium right now for a full month by going to Stitcher.com/premium and entering the code TALKINGTAKER. That's all one word, TALKINGTAKER. That'll get you a free month of everything that Stitcher Premium has to offer. After that, it's only $4.99 a month for their incredible, vast podcast archives. So go head over there right now, Stitcher.com/premium. Enter in the code TALKINGTAKER, that's all one word, TALKINGTAKER, to start your free month of listening ad-free. Alright, creatures of the night, welcome to episode 110 of Talking Taker, our encyclopedic exploration digging up the career of the greatest professional wrestling character of all time. My name is Alex Doriot, and I want to thank you for joining us for yet another round of Dead Man Talking. And I am joined on this journey, as always, by my tag team partner, my wrestling buddy, the Siskel to my Ebert, Mr. Travis White. And Travis, I say that because we are the two reviewers reviewing this Hollywood spectacle tonight at WrestleMania 21 between The Undertaker and Randy Orton. And Travis, I just have to ask you one question tonight. Do you feel lucky? Well, do ya, punk?
2 thumbs up. Absolutely, I do. So if it's 2005, are we both still alive? Like we're Siskel and Ebert?
I don't remember about Siskel. I can't remember when he passed.
I can't remember. But anyway, well, we'll pretend we are. So.
Well, I'm feeling lucky because we are done talking about Heidenreich. We are done talking about Luther Reigns. We got to talk about it once on this episode, but other than that, we're done talking about him, and we get to move on to one of the, we may not have always liked him, but you got to admit, one of the absolute legends of the past 20 years, the legend killer, Randy Orton, and a very interesting and memorable and momentous feud for the Dead Man beginning here in 2005.
Yep, you said it best, man. I could not stand this guy at this point in my life back then. It took me 11 more years to care for him at all, his work. I'll say that. It took me 6 years to respect his work when he feuded against Christian, but after that, it took me another 5 to respect him as a person and his ring work. But yeah, man, I'm looking back on this, and maybe it's because we're just coming off the crap we tried through the last several matches, but this is such a breath of fresh air, and it's just like, man, it's just ready to get this show on the road, man. So
breathe it in, baby. Breathe it in, Travis.
Just breathe. Exactly.
Well, we're going to find out if your opinions on Randy Orton have changed. Looking back at it, we're going to explore all that. That's what this podcast is all about, revisiting this classic stuff, trying to give a new lens to it, trying to figure out where it places in The Undertaker's history and in the history of professional wrestling, because our podcast is not just about The Undertaker, and all you creatures of the night that have been listening for over 100 episodes, you guys know that. So let's get back on that journey. Let's not waste any more time. Let's take the time traveling hearse all the way back to we're actually going to go to the night after No Way Out, 2001 right here. Not 2001, 2005, excuse me.
I watched the wrong stuff.
Oh, yeah. We're going to talk about Haku and Rikishi again.
Oh, man, I'd love to.
No. let's take it back as we begin this inter-promotional rivalry between The Undertaker and Randy Orton. Travis, hop in the driver's seat, take us to Raw on February 21st, 2005, and tell us how it all got started.
Well, it's funny you said inter-promotional because actually two of the guys that are in the two inter-promotional matches at WrestleMania, which did they have any at 04? Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
They had Goldberg
Undertaker versus Kane.
And Undertaker, yeah. So they had two last year, and they had how many at 03? They have any in 03? I don't think they did.
03, no.
I don't think they did.
I don't think so.
So yeah, this was, I guess, 2 years. Or they had they had two last year, and they're having two this year. But anyway, those guys, Shawn Michaels and Randy Orton, are actually backstage. They're supposed to take on Edge and Christian here. I guess we're recently reunited because Edge has turned heel, I believe, after SummerSlam. He's about to turn real life heel because he's going to have a run-in with Matt Hardy's woman, if you will. But anyway, Orton's backstage asking for some advice from HBK, and HBK kind of cuts him off and is like, you can hear, there's a couple things you can do here. You can sit around and you can wait for an opportunity, or you can go out there and take it. And they're standing there, and there's a ladder behind him, and he's talking about the ladder match at WrestleMania 10 and saying that, we went out there and took it and didn't ask anybody, and we just went out there and, made the most out of it. And you can see kind of Randy like pondering these things like, well, in his head, like the wheels are turning, like, I got to go out there and take it. So, and which is funny because for a shoot, I actually did go out there and take it because I know people have told that story. I've heard Scott Hall tell that story of how he and Shawn took an extra 10 minutes or something in that match at WrestleMania 10, and people backstage were a little bit angry at him. But anyway, yeah. So you can see Randy pondering, what to do. What can he go out and do, and how can he make an impact? So
and it's interesting too that Shawn Michaels will kind of have to take his own advice here in a few years, is when he challenges The Undertaker at WrestleMania. So interesting how that all works together, and cool to see the seeds being planted there on Monday Night Raw a few weeks before we actually see the feud really kick into gear here. But Undertaker's got some unfinished business over on SmackDown on February 24th, 2005. He's going to have a handicap match against Luther Reigns and Mark Jindrak to completely bury this issue. And I believe it's called a double Jeopardy matchup, Travis. And I'll just... I'd like to take the category dudes we will never speak of again after this match for $1,000.
What is Luther Reigns and Mark Jindrak?
Ding, 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 ding.
Let me pause right there. Okay, before you get into this, I meant to mention this last week. Do you remember that? So Jindrak was supposed to be Batista's spot in Evolution.
That's right.
Yeah. They filmed vignettes with him. Can you imagine if he had just won the Royal Rumble?
Oh my!
What a different landscape it would have been.
We'd be doing a podcast about
and Luther Reigns.
TNA Impact right now because WWE would have gone out of business.
I just thought I'd throw that out there, but instead he's going to get double Jeopardy match here with Luther Reigns. So, anyway, go ahead.
Exploring match by match through the career of the alpha male Monty Brown.
I love that guy.
Oh, me too. I was just watching YouTube videos of him the other night.
No.
The bounce.
Marcus Corvon himself.
God, he was awesome.
He was.
Anyway, Taker's going to do a little daily double here and beat Reigns and Jindrak. He makes Jindrak tap out to his triangle hold in about 2 minutes. So his fourth level finisher, he makes Jindrak tap out too. And then Taker he pulls a cane and backflips out of the ring just like a BA, man, saying I'm done with this. I'm done with these guys.
Done. Yeah.
And that leaves Reigns and Jindrak to argue with each other in the ring, and I guess this is the end of their tag team here, and sets up their big match at WrestleMania 21, their big blow-off to their feud, dude. I can't wait to see it.
You think?
I'm jonesing, man.
I know. Well, let's see if we can make it that far. Take the money and run.
I guess
exactly.
I guess that one must have got cut
crazy.
for time. I don't know what happened.
Yeah. He fell so far from possibly being an Evolution to having his blow-off match to his big feud with Luther Reigns to be not even put on WrestleMania. Oh, bless his heart. Yep. Poor guy. Well, the next week on Raw, 28th of February 28th, we actually get so they're introducing all the Hall of Fame guys, and I guess Superstar Billy Graham is going in this year. So he's backstage talking with some of the divas, of course, and Orton comes up, and I guess at this point he was like on screen dating Stacy Keibler. I don't remember
Superstar
that.
Billy Graham was?
Probably.
Nice.
No,
Nice.
Superstar Randy Orton. Yeah. So, which he probably was backstage as well. Who knows? I don't know what Test was at this point, but anyway, yeah. And so basically, Orton comes up and thanks Billy Graham for being on the road and being at the house shows and making all the stops like like an old timer. And anyway, Graham tells Orton, he's like, last year, it was great with you defeating Foley last year, which he leaves out The Rock or Evolution. He leaves anybody else out.
Yeah.
It's like you defeated Mick Foley, and then he says that you got to go out there where no wrestler's gone before and think about being unique, different, and special. Giving him some motivation from another one of his heroes, and then Orton shakes his hand, and he has something in his hand this whole time. On the other hand, he unrolls it, and it's a SmackDown magazine, which I forgot that they had their own separate magazine, but he holds that, and he's like, "That's just what I was thinking." And he lays the magazine on the table. Camera zooms in, and it's a SmackDown magazine that has the Undertaker on the cover of it. So there you go.
Little
Planting
tease.
seeds.
I like it.
Little tease.
And I believe, man, that might be Superstar Billy Graham's first ever Monday Night Raw appearance. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe one of his only ones, man.
Yeah. He wasn't on much, but I thought it was Scott Steiner. Big Papa. Just kidding.
Well, that is going to make us fast forward a little bit here, dude, to Raw, a week later, to Raw episode, I don't know what episode it is because they don't have those on the network anymore, but Raw on the date of March 7th, 2005, because Undertaker's going to cash in a night of PTO during SmackDown that week.
Yeah.
Not going to appear on that show.
Not going to show up.
Yeah, not going to do it. So we'll continue this feud over on Raw. And Randy Orton is again backstage with his girlfriend, Stacy Keibler, and they're making some small talk. He's telling her he's got some big plans for tonight, and Stacy's like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" And Randy says he's going to shock the world with his WrestleMania challenge.
Oh, man.
I got a little worried.
Yeah.
He's going to call out the Shockmaster for WrestleMania.
I thought he was going to trip over a 2x4 on his way out.
He's the legend killer, man.
Yeah, Shockmaster was the legend killer. He killed the legend of Shockmaster in one night. Oh.
Well, this is a pretty big promo for Randy here, dude.
Yeah.
He comes out. He's in his special gear, which pretty much was a generic off the rack dress shirt and pants.
Men's
sleeves
Warehouse,
rolled up.
yeah.
Yep, Men's Warehouse, $99 special.
But I tell you what, man, he definitely looked better than some of the guys that come out, like
Heidenreich?
yeah, in his wrestling gear, yeah. Well, somewhere in between that last interview with Stacy and then when he comes out, he loses his sport coat because he had his sport coat on. Come back from commercial and he comes out and he has no sport coat on, so I was a little disappointed in him.
Business time. Got to lose a layer of clothing.
Exactly. That's right.
Because he means business with this promo, dude. He talks about being a 5-year-old kid, growing up, watching wrestling, wanting to see his father step in the ring, and talking about his dad, Cowboy Bob Orton, going into the Hall of Fame this year. And, that's obviously going to play a big part into this feud here in a few weeks. And Randy says if there's anything he's ever learned from his father, it's that you got to attach yourself to a main eventer, and maybe you'll be attached to him enough that you'll go into the Hall of Fame. Oh, no, wait, never mind. He says the thing he's learned from his father is you got to stand on your own and do something special. And that's
how did he learn that from his dad?
I'm not sure.
Retcon the history of the WWF there.
But he says he wants to do something that no one has ever done at WrestleMania. He wants to make an impact.
It's about making an impact. And I'm about to make a huge impact. I'm about to do what no other man has done at WrestleMania 21 in a most ultimate matchup. Legend killer versus legend, I will defeat
Dramatic pause.
The Undertaker.
Oh yeah, it gets one of those from the crowd. They're shocked about this. Randy says Taker is 12-0 at Mania, a phenom, a legend. That's why he's challenging him. And at WrestleMania 21, the legend of The Undertaker will become a myth, courtesy of the Legend Killer.
It was good stuff, man. I enjoyed this promo.
It was, dude.
It was unique too because I mean he was a babyface, you know, and he's not. There's no beef with Taker. He's just wanting to stand out, wanting to do something. He goes, you know, he's got this Legend Killer persona, and so I thought it was pretty cool way to introduce this build up, man. I liked it.
So he had not turned back heel at this point?
No, he was not a heel yet.
Okay.
He will be in a minute, but yeah, he's not officially a heel yet. So he was still a babyface, which is why he was tagging with Shawn the other week against Edge and Christian, who was a bad guy. So yeah, he's still a babyface, which made this dynamic kind of different at the time. So
yeah, man, and we could talk about it here. We both, Randy Orton, I really liked him when he first went into Evolution, when he was doing the Randy News Network, when he broke his shoulder, he was doing those promos. I thought those were pretty awesome, and enjoyed him in Evolution and part of that run. And when he turned babyface, going up against Triple H, that's when it killed off all of his heat with me, man. I enjoyed some of the Legend Killer stuff, but I just could not buy into him as a babyface, and that really ruined him for years for me. And you mentioned the same thing at the top. That was something we both felt very strongly about.
Oh, yeah. And he had the face of our 8th grade math teacher who ticked me off a lot back in the day. He had the same face as him. Yeah. And so I also hated that. So, yeah. It could have been his spawn. So, anyway, aside from that, he beat Benoit, became the youngest champion. Benoit was our boy. You know, we'd gone on record about that. Yeah. So, I mean, just seeing that and then the babyface turn, it's okay to not turn a guy babyface when the crowd's cheering him. Like, they didn't turn Austin in a night, you know. It took a while before they finally turned him face. You know, like, let it go. But they forced it, and we were not fans of it. But this, going back and, now 14 years later, going back and looking at this, I wish I was a fan at this point of him, you know, because this is pretty good stuff we're going to get into here. So.
Well, he's still very young. He's still got a little greenness about him, but you could see what they saw in him. You can see a world of potential. Got a great look. He's got some confidence out there. You can see why they had him pegged as one of their guys during this time, unquestionably.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's got a swagger about him, and he grew up in the business, so... he's got a good head on his shoulders about the business, and he picks up on it fast. Plus, he attached himself to the right people, like Triple H and Ric Flair. So.
That helps, for sure.
And Stacy Keibler. And Kelly.
Well,
the list goes on.
One guy he didn't have to attach himself to was Eric Bischoff, who he's going to come storming out to the ring after Randy's promo, and he congratulates him. Eric's the general manager of Raw, and we don't get to talk about him too much on this podcast, but he congratulates Randy on this big challenge and says WrestleMania is going to be an incredible night because Shawn Michaels is also going to beat Kurt Angle, and then the WWE Board of Directors is going to have to recognize Raw's superiority and give him extra stock options. Really gripping television, what you want to see in a wrestling feud, talking about stock options.
But you know what? It's so Bischoff. It's so him. So.
That's funny. And Randy's like, thank you, I appreciate it. And he starts building up Eric Bischoff and talks about the 88 weeks that Bischoff led Nitro to defeating Monday Night Raw, which, as we all know from the podcast, it is 83 weeks that they actually beat Raw. And Bischoff's like, oh yeah, thank you so much. And Orton says, I guess that kind of makes you a legend, doesn't it? And Bischoff is like, yeah, I guess it does. And then he, of course, realizes what us and the crowd and everyone else has realized is about to happen and tries to leave, but Randy turns him around and hits an RKO on Eric Bischoff to reignite that legend killer phase of his career that's going to play a huge role into this feud.
Yeah, man. Good stuff, man. I like it. And he's getting his babyface reaction there again, building him up as a face. So,
yeah.
Good stuff there. And like I said, earlier, like just seeing him as a face go against Taker, and this is, we've been mentioning the streak, and we've heard it mentioned a little bit, in his last few WrestleManias about how he's undefeated, and particularly that was WrestleMania X8 where he holds up the 10 fingers, that was a big deal. But like, this is the first time that is the catalyst for a feud, Right. I feel like up until then it was feuds that would culminate at WrestleMania, but now it starts to be, this is the impetus for any match at WrestleMania with Taker is going to be, I'm going to defeat the streak. Which again, this was in 2005. It's 2014 before it happens. So another 9 years. That every year the goal between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania is, I'm going to defeat your streak. So I just think it's kind of cool, and it goes back to Randy Orton. And I didn't remember that being him, that he was originator of that kind of storyline. So.
Oh, yeah. It's a pivotal part of this feud. And like you said, I think you could go back. I think it's WrestleMania. It's either 9 or 11. It's one of those first, either the third or fourth one Taker's in, where they actually first make mention, as we brought up on this podcast, that Undertaker had an undefeated streak. And they do make mention of it pretty much every year since then. But this is the first time the feud is over that. And we'll talk about the importance of that even more as we go on through this episode, and of course through his career as well. But we can't stress enough what a huge moment this is, and how this changes the game for the Undertaker. It honestly changes the game for WrestleMania in general, because that's going to become one of the biggest selling points for WrestleMania over the next decade, is the Undertaker's streak. So we'll talk about that more as the feud evolves and when we get to the match. But, man, perhaps more importantly than any of this, Travis, is on this night, on this episode of Raw, we get to see something very, very special, because the theme for WrestleMania is, of course, WrestleMania Goes Hollywood. And we've seen some great trailers during these past few weeks on Raw and SmackDown. We get a Pulp Fiction parody with Booker T and Eddie Guerrero, and we get a When Harry Met Sally parody with Kurt Angle and Christy Hemme. But tonight, Linda McMahon. Tonight we get a Dirty Harry parody with our boy the Undertaker, where the Undertaker literally kills a man.
Yes. He does. Shoots a man on the street.
Dude, what did you think of this?
I tell you what, man, I think I told you this off air. Like, I remembered every single one of these videos except for this one. This was the one I did not remember. It was weird because he's like, at this point he was still kayfabe Undertaker guy. You didn't see him. We talked about that at the with the Christmas episode, of over in Iraq. It was weird to see him, out of character with the troops and stuff. Like, you didn't see this during this era, and so to see him as just Mark, Calloway doing this was really neat, to see. And I did not remember it, and I definitely did not. I mean, once I saw it, it was like, oh yeah, it came at me like that. But I forgot. If you had told me to list them all, I would have named every other one except for this one. But and I forgot that he murdered someone. It was like the Pillman angle, like the screen goes black and you hear the gunshot.
Dude, you're right. He really never did this sort of comedy or out of character type stuff, but he still retains that whole Undertaker aura, very serious, very cool, even though it does have a bit of a punchline there at the end. But it's a pretty straight parody of Dirty Harry, whereas a lot of the other ones had a lot more comedic elements to them.
Oh, yeah, he wasn't in there like, you talking to me? You talking to me?
Right.
He wasn't doing
that.
No.
Yeah. But, man, I loved... This was my favorite part of going through this build, was getting to revisit those. I hadn't seen those in years, and I thought they all held up incredibly well. They're all still very, very funny.
I love it. It's big Show when the thing falls on him. It's great. It's good stuff.
His jacket rips. He's like, what the...
Oh, yeah. Batista's awesome in that one.
Oh, yeah,
talking to me? They're good.
Beginning of his Hollywood career.
Exactly. Guardians of the Galaxy, eat your heart out. It all started here. That's right. 2021.
The JBL and Cena one you were saying?
Oh yeah, that one's great too, man. Like that one, I love JBL in that. It was awesome. So he did a good job in that one too. So
I think my favorite
yeah,
might have
good
been Kurt Angle and Christy Hemme. That one just.
Oh yeah,
Kurt Angle is just so funny.
just Kurt. Yeah, I know. He's just funny, man. He's just the whole thing is great, and then just seeing Linda at the end, just kind of like Jim Halperting it up. It's just funny, man. It's great. So
Yeah.
I loved it.
Whoever did those,
Loved it.
They should be the only people that ever do WWE comedy segments because these were
I would say they should.
legitimately funny.
Oh yeah, they should write for the show
Yes.
now. They should write for Raw and SmackDown. Get rid of everybody else besides Bray Wyatt,
Exactly.
who's doing great stuff. But anyway, yeah, good stuff, man. Good stuff. Well, that's going to take us on to SmackDown. Actually, we're back to SmackDown on March 10th. So Teddy Long's going to discuss Orton's WrestleMania challenge to Taker from Raw, and he's telling Carlito, because Carlito's kind of like his I guess his butler now at this point, like his Alfred to his Batman. He's like, he has to work for him or something, because after he tried to get a petition signed, it backfired. Anyway, he kind of works for him. So he tells Carlito, you got to go find the Undertaker and let me know what his response is. And Carlito's a little iffy about this, so doesn't really want to do it. But he says, if he doesn't do it, he's fired, and that's not cool. So Carlito's looking for Taker in the bowels of the building, which we thought he'd open a door and see Mankind sitting there pulling his hair out or eating a rat or something, but he didn't. Oh, man. What was Jim Cornette's rat's name? Richard talks about. I'd love to see Mankind and James the rat or whatever it was.
Yeah, whatever his name was, yeah.
Yeah, well, while Carlito's looking around, the lights go out, and Carlito's like, he's screaming.
Undertaker! Dead man! Sorry, man. I didn't know anybody was in here. Es que mata. Imbécil. Así.
Ned Flanders, man.
Yeah, dude. He Flanderses it up. And it's just a, local maintenance man. It's like, oh, sorry, I didn't see you there. Didn't know anybody was in here. So I don't know if that guy had to sign up for the Screen Actors Guild to be on TV or not. But
maybe.
Anyway, well, this time, later on, we see Carlito throughout the night looking around, and he's walking around, and Tori Wilson comes up from behind him and spooks him, and he's like, gets all mad, and he says that, he's going to go out to the ring and call out Taker so he doesn't lose his job. So goes out to the ring, and he says he's tired of this wild goose chase. He can't find Taker anywhere, but he doesn't want to lose his job. So he's like, Undertaker, with all due respect, I need to know what your answer is. And asks for an answer. So, of course, the King Gong style is going to answer in the way that only he can. Lights are going to go out.
12-minute entrance?
12-minute entrance. Exactly. 12-minute entrance. Taker comes out, and Carlito is shaken up. He could have just left and gone and eaten a sandwich and come back. But anyway, he's just standing there. But he definitely is, showing fear. He's pretty timid in the corner. So Carlito asks for an answer, and Taker gives him an answer by just grabbing his throat. And then he grabs the mic from Carlito's hand, and he says,
Many men have come to WrestleMania and tried to make a name for themselves at the Undertaker's expense. And Randy Orton has one thing in common with all of them. At WrestleMania 21, he too will rest in peace.
and the crowd chants that with him, which is cool.
Yeah.
And
Short and sweet.
lifts up Carlito and drops him with a Tombstone pile driver on his old wig. So on his big old fro. Sideshow Bob fro. So had to get our Simpsons
Two
reference
Simpsons
in there.
references. Yeah,
Yeah,
thank
exactly.
You, thank you.
So anyway.
Yeah.
But good stuff.
I guess.
It's always good because you can see Carlito dropping his head, man.
Yeah,
that guy
I'm fine
drove me
with
crazy.
It was pretty silly. Kind of a weird way to get to this feud, to throw Carlito in there. But yeah, it is what it is. And it's going to really kick into gear and get good here starting on March 14th, 2005. Here comes the stuff that really everyone remembers about this feud. Very memorable segment on this night of Raw in Atlanta, GA. Man.
We weren't at.
Another one we weren't at. Very much wish we were. Some very cool stuff on this episode of Raw. The Rockers reuniting for the first time in God knows how long, 13 years, man.
Yeah.
You'll never see as many tassels as you see on Marty Jannetty on this night.
It's like the Renegade.
Incredible.
The Renegade and the Ultimate Warrior put together.
Yeah, they had a baby.
And the Young Bucks. So, yeah.
But another legend is going to pop up here as part of this feud as we get to talk about the highlight reel for the first time on this show, Chris Jericho's highlight reel. And he's on top of a ladder because he's about to compete in, man, this was hard to believe, the first ever Money in the Bank ladder match. It's so weird to think about life without Money in the Bank.
I know. The first ever one, yeah. Which, again, was kind of his idea for a shoot. So he'll always take credit for that. Don't you worry.
Oh,
Jericho will let you know. He'll take credit for anything he's ever done. So
he's a real-life Barry Horowitz, dude. Always patting himself on the back.
Yeah. Oh, I love him. But, yeah,
I
definitely loves to pat himself on the back. So.
Well, he brings out his guest for the highlight reel, Mr. Randy Orton, who gets a great pop from this Atlanta crowd, dude. And there are a ton of pro-Orton signs in the crowd that they keep zooming in on, which at first I thought he was a heel at this point, so I was kind of surprised, but you clarify that he was still a babyface at this time, so it makes a little bit more sense, but it does go to show you that he was...
A lot of young ladies.
Oh, yes.
With Randy Orton signs.
Oh, yes.
He was over. Is that what you were going to say? Sorry, I cut you off there.
Yeah, and especially with the women folk. But
in front of the camera and behind the camera.
Oh, boy. Not so much to Fabulous Moolah, though. As Chris Jericho notes when Randy gets in the ring, he's like, man, I know you're the legend killer, but this is not like giving the RKO to Fabulous Moolah. This is Undertaker. He's 12-0, man. There's nobody like him in the world. And Randy says, I get all that. I understand the challenge ahead of me, and he's a future Hall of Famer, but I want to be a Hall of Famer too. And to me, that's another big turning point with this feud. Man, I feel like before this time, people feuded in wrestling because I don't like this guy, I want to beat him. Or I want the title, I want to be champion. But really during this time and forever since then, you hear more and more people talk about wanting to be in the Hall of Fame, wanting to build a legacy, wanting to become a legend. And that's just, I don't know if one is worse than the other or the better. I kind of lean towards, I think that kind of gets kind of cliche when people talk about that, but I feel like that really started to change about during this time. People wanting to fight for their WrestleMania moment rather than caring about winning titles or things like that. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely, man. I agree with you. Yeah, it is. And it depends on how frequently it's used, in my opinion. Sometimes those things like Shawn and Taker, those WrestleMania matches, that makes sense,
Sure.
This makes sense. But, yeah, there are times when it's just like, oh, so-and-so comes back from not wrestling for 14 years, and now Dolph Ziggler wants to wrestle Goldberg out of nowhere. That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
It's just a payday for Saudi Arabia or whatever it was, or wherever it was. I don't even remember where that was, but anyway, it's how memorable it was for me. I don't remember what show that was, but anyway, it's just like, yeah, I agree. It's used sparingly, it's a good thing, but I like it every now and then, but I like the old school way too.
Yeah, just an interesting thing to point out as the business continues to evolve here. And speaking of evolve, Orton says he surprised everyone last year when he beat Mick Foley at WrestleMania, again as they pretend like it was a singles match. And talks about becoming the youngest heavyweight champion of all time. Can't remember who he beat for that because I feel like they never talk about that match anymore. So I don't know.
Well, if you go back on the network, it just says Randy Orton in a championship
singles match.
So, yeah.
He says on this Thursday he's going to surprise The Undertaker as well. And Chris Jericho, man of surprises himself, has one for Randy Orton. Someone from Stone Mountain, Georgia. Someone who faced The Undertaker at WrestleMania, making his return to the WWE for the first time in about 8 years. Jake the Snake Roberts, man. And He looks rough.
Yeah, yeah, dude. You have the same thing in your notes that I thought in my mind. It looks like David Crosby.
It's like David Crosby got run over by a truck and then went on a month-long bender, man. Oh, my goodness.
Ate a lot of Ben and Jerry's.
Yikes.
He looks real rough, man. And just to put it in perspective, Jake is 49 on this show.
Did you say 149?
No.
49 years?
He looks 49 years old, but he looks worse then than he does in 2019, in my opinion.
Man.
And
this is the greatest advertisement for DDP Yoga you will ever see in your life.
Yes. Well, and now, today, it is 2019. Chris Jericho will be 49 in November, and Triple H turned 50 this summer. So just, like, if you saw those two guys walk out at this age, and then you see Jake the Snake walk out in 2005, you're like, that man looks like their grandpa. Like, he looks so awful.
Man.
His body was in A shape, but it was not in shape.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
He's in, like, sweatpants. His bar was like Mick Foley's outfit. He didn't even get dressed up.
Hey, I tell you what, though. This crowd loves it, man. They're here for it, here to see. Oh yeah, I popped on the couch when I was watching it back then. It was great to see. I didn't care what he looked like, and we get some highlights of his glory days, some WWE 24/7 footage showing his WrestleMania highlights throughout the years.
Mm-hmm.
And Jake gets on the mic here, and
boy does he!
Boy does he!
Now, 12-0 means something to me. The Undertaker's a fine man. You see, if you're into baseball, you hit the baseball. If you shoot a three-point basket, you shoot the 3 points. If you're playing hockey, you play hockey. But they don't play no more. The thing is, it's all about timing. Timing is very important. And I know how good you are because you were world champion. But I see that the world championship belt is not with you tonight. So, if you won it, you must have lost it, okay? What I'm here to do tonight is a favor, all right? A favor to your father. Because, Mr. Orton, it seems to me I need to reintroduce your brain to your mouth because you're talking out your ass.
Man, he got a little lost looking for a point to say here at the beginning, man. He's like, he starts off saying, 12-0 means something to me, Randy, and then rambles on about, talking about hockey and football and baseball and timing meaning something, and I know you were a champion at one point, Randy Orton, but I don't see the belt anymore, and it's it's a mess here to start.
He's like, I need to reintroduce your brain to your mouth because you're talking out of your butt. It's like, what? Read that in a fortune cookie? I don't know where that came from. I don't know. But I think it all boils down to don't bite off more than you can chew.
That's what he's trying to say. You want 21?
Yeah.
I got 22.
He took a hit that. That cocaine bender took him crazy train, man.
Well, somehow Randy pulls all this together and says, I've learned a lot of lessons in my life, and I know fighting Undertaker's not about winning or losing. It's about leaving with your soul. And then Randy says, Jake, you would know something about that since you lost to Undertaker at WrestleMania 8 all the way back in the day. And, of course, you can listen to that back in our archives way back in the beginning of our podcast because, of course, we covered that. And he asked Jake if he felt cold and empty and afraid when he left the ring that night. And says that when he beats Undertaker at WrestleMania, he will make a bigger impact than Jake ever made in his entire career. And that gets a big reaction from the crowd. And that gets Jake into it. He snaps out of it. He gets back into feeling like it's 1992 all over again. And tells Randy he's going to show him his 12 feet of impact. And I got a little worried there, Travis.
Didn't know what he was about to do.
But before he can pull his 12 feet out, Randy goes to stop him, and Jake nails him with a short arm clothesline and then a few jumping jacks to show him what kind of shape he's in. He's still got it.
This is pre-DDP, okay? He's in there.
It's a few jumping jacks, man.
They're the worst. It's like a walrus trying to do jumping jacks. But I tell you what, man. In all seriousness, when he hit that short arm clothesline, I was like I was 7 years old again, man. Like I was.
Absolutely.
Oh man, just seeing that was beautiful. And then the jumping jacks, I turned into a 33-year-old and laughed my head off. It was
man,
great.
you could tell it's 2005 because he would not have passed any sort of wellness test to be out there doing a wrestling move during this time, brother. No. But man, the crowd gets pumped because we think we're about to see a DDT. He spins the finger up in the air, hooks it in on Randy, but of course, you can all see where this is going. Randy turns it into an RKO and adds another legend to his list as Jake the Snake goes down and starting to see Randy move back into that heel territory where he feels more comfortable in, and a bit of a tweener role as he takes out a legend that the crowd's really here to see, man. And I think everyone remembers that last part of this segment and remembers it being classic, which I did too.
Yeah.
Watching it back, it was a bit of a mess there at the beginning, but you know they end on a strong note, so it leaves a good impression in your mind.
Exactly. Exactly. It's worth watching for the jumping jacks.
Oh, for sure.
And that horrifying promo. I have no idea where Randy Orton's like, oh yeah, by the way, like he pulls something out of it, and like I don't know. But anyway.
You know you're in trouble when Mari Jannetty is the sober one on this night. Oh man. Never mind. All right. Anyway, well, yeah. So Orton's taking his slow descent toward the heel side and the dark side. So it's not official, but he's anyway. We're gonna see where it's gonna head. That's gonna take us to SmackDown 3 days later on March 17th. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Teddy Long is in the ring for the contract signing between Taker and Randy Orton, and Bischoff comes out to interrupt and says that Raw's going to dominate the interpromotional action at WrestleMania 21. He clearly does not have a crystal ball, but he says it's going to be legend versus legend killer, RIP versus RKO, and he calls out Randy Orton here, something like that. Yeah, I like it. And Orton comes out, and Taz and Cole are putting Orton over as he enters here because again he's not normally on SmackDown, so they're putting him over and. Randy's going to shake hands with Teddy Long and then Bischoff, and then Teddy grabs the mic and introduces The Undertaker. Oh, yeah.
I just never get tired of him saying that.
And Randy Orton's opponent. I got this, player. And Randy Orton's opponent is the man that is 12-0 at WrestleMania. I'm talking about the Phenom, the Dirt Man. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you The Undertaker.
Oh, man. Never, ever get tired. So, and of course, Taker is going to give his full entrance. And as he does, Cole says, there is no legend bigger, no mystique stronger, no myth truer than that of The Undertaker. I don't know.
Poetry,
I love
man.
it. Yeah, I love it. He got that from Heidenreich, so. Anyway, but Taker stares Orton down as he makes his entrance, and Taker raises the lights and steps on the steps, and Orton's kind of staring him back. He's not really showing like he's scared or anything because he's the one that made the challenge. So Taker gets in the ring, Orton backs away a little bit, and they stare down like it's old Wild Wild West. They kind of circle the tables, which is kind of funny to me, going back to Dirty Harry style there.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, bringing it back around. So, anyway, Bischoff slides a contract on the table. Like, let's get to business here. He's a businessman. So, Taker just reaches down and signs a contract, not wasting any time. And he's ready to get to business. And I really like I don't know if that was supposed to mean anything, but I love the psychology behind that. If you want to be nuanced and break it down, look at the nuance and break it down. Like, he's just like, yeah, bring it on, little kid. Like, I'm ready to go. Like, I love. I can't put over how much little things that Taker does are just so fantastic. If you really sit back and break it down, man, and that little thing just said a lot to me just watching it. Like, he was just, his character's ready to go, man. I don't know if I'm looking too far into it or what, but
no,
it was
it's
good.
a great bit of subtlety there. We don't usually see him in a lot of contract signings, so
Right.
it's interesting to see him and see what he does in one.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think we've seen him in just a couple. I mean, he's signed with blood and stuff like that.
Oh, I forgot about that one.
90s. But other than that, we don't see him like that. Yeah, you're right. But anyway, but instead of signing, Orton picks up the microphone and says that he's got nothing but respect for Taker's legacy, but soon and very soon he will be 12-1, and says that I'm not like your other opponents because I'm not afraid. And they actually move around the table and they move close to each other. And he says that, people have been telling me that facing you is not like facing anybody else on this earth, but it's dead wrong because when you face me, it'll be like facing no one else on the earth because you're going to be facing a legend killer. So, not stepping back. And I like that. And he signs the paperwork, and then they kind of stare at each other. And then Randy Orton slaps the Undertaker across the face. Yeah, and Undertaker is seething. His eyes are in the back of his head, and he is doing his angry dad shake, like blood is boiling, and he's angry. Takes his hat off. At this point, Orton has left the ring, I believe. He's backing up the aisle, and Taker is going to then raise his hands, and a bunch of flames are going to shoot up behind Randy Orton, and Orton kind of freaks out a little bit. And Taker's got a little smirk on his face, but that really got out of hand pretty quick.
You might say he's awakened the dragon.
Yeah, yes, he has awakened the dragon indeed. So a slap in the face, and I'll bring the fire. So you bring a slap to a firefight. So anyway, but yeah.
I thought it was cool. It was just enough. It didn't break down into a big fight or anything, but
nope.
It fits perfect for Randy's character during this time to slap the Undertaker, and yet you see that fear out of Randy when he realizes, oh, this is not like Jake the Snake or Harley Race or Fabulous Moolah. I may have bit off a bit more than I could chew here.
Exactly. I liked it.
Well, we move on to Raw on March 21st, 2005, as Randy Orton is backstage with his lady friend, Stacy Keibler, yet again, and he's got a mysterious box with him as well, as the King gets in on the fun and wonders, what's in the box? What's in the box?
You think he knew he was doing a Seven reference, or was he just being King?
I think he was just talking about Randy's girlfriend.
Oh.
You okay there? All right. Anywho, well, Randy's talking about the match, and he's talking to Stacy about if she thinks he can beat the Undertaker at WrestleMania, and she's kind of like, it's a big match, and he asks if she wants to come out to the ring, and she's like, I don't know, and Randy's like, come on, I have something I want to say to you. So she says she'll come out with him. He comes out, cuts a pretty generic promo. It's not one of his best here. He's just going through his greatest hits, gloating about some same old stuff he always gloats about, and pulls out of the box one of his Legend Killer Tour t-shirts that he had during this time, which was a pretty cool shirt. Had the list of all the legends he's defeated over his 2-year career with the dates of the times he's defeated them or gave RKOs to him. Ones we mentioned, like Moolah and Harley Race, Sergeant Slaughter, RVD, Stone Cold, Shawn Michaels. But this one is updated, and at the bottom of it, it has The Undertaker, and it's already got WrestleMania's date. So he's got that shirt pre-made, April 3rd, 2005. Very cocky, arrogant move there.
Yeah, I liked it though. I thought it was cool to just show his his confidence in himself, and I just really liked it. I thought it was a cool touch because I do remember that shirt. I thought it was interesting that RVD was already a legend in his mind at this point. And Booker T. They're both on there, and like he's already calling them legends. I was kind of, I don't know, that stood out to me because they're both active wrestlers at this point. So, but anyway, yeah, I thought it was a neat little nod to add Taker's name to it. So, still, kind of a heel move, but not really a full heel yet. He's just being confident, being arrogant.
He is.
So.
He's so arrogant that man, he's following in your footsteps, man. He's gone into video editing and has made this video.
Daggum, I knew I didn't like him for a reason.
It shows off all his career highlights, which is pretty good, and it kind of shows you just how much he's done in the short time that he's been there. And after the video, he says he wants to do something to Stacy he's been wanting to do for a long time, and the crowd starts to get a little antsy. The announcer's like, oh no. And Randy and Stacy share a passionate kiss. And then Randy says he's going to send a message to all of his doubters. And then he gives an RKO out of nowhere to Stacy Keibler. Wow. Very, very... he's undoubtedly a heel in this moment. Very sinister, shocking moment as he does that to the crowd. And you can kind of see the evolution of Randy Orton right here. As this is much more like the character he becomes a few years from now, the I Hear Voices guy, because he just gets this blank look over his eyes as he looks at Stacy Keibler and stands over her and then backs away up the aisle just with kind of a blank stare, just knowing he's done something very, very evil here. Very powerful, shocking moment.
Yeah, and I liked, I hate to admit this because I wasn't a fan of his back then, but I liked how he just kind of stood over her and stared at her for like 45 seconds. It's like we talked about this when Austin turned heel back in 2001. All of a sudden, he was a chicken, and he was cheating out of nowhere. He completely changed his character, trying way too hard to be a heel. I like when you don't just change your mind overnight. So he, obviously he knew he was going to RKO her, but then he kind of couldn't believe what he had done. He kind of looked. He wasn't just laughing and clapping at himself or
he didn't do his pose.
Exactly,
with the arms up in the air. Yeah.
Bailey's turned heel apparently and nowadays, but she's not really. You wouldn't know if she comes. She still does all the hugging. So she hasn't completely changed to a chicken. All of a sudden. But I like that it's subtle. And so he was kind of subtle here, even though the impact he made with the RKO, but his character is still subtle. Now it's going to get farther along, but I just really I hate to admit it because I couldn't stand him back then, but he's got the little things too, man. So
he does.
But then JR, man, he will hit you over. Vince fed him these lines after where he's like, tell him what's going on,
Yeah, he says, if Orton will do this to his own girlfriend, what lengths will he go to defeat The Undertaker at WrestleMania 21? Yeah. The old Michael Cole sledgehammer of plot. Yeah. Right there.
Don't let any subtlety possibly be in our minds.
Never. Speaking of subtlety, though, with all that talk about T-shirts, Travis, what better time to talk about our T-shirts over at tpublic.com. You can go pick up one of those. They're actually on sale this weekend. So everything on there is 35% off. That means you can get $13 T-shirts. You can get stickers, mugs, hoodies, long sleeves. It may get cold outside eventually. I don't know. That's what the rumors are. I have seen no evidence of that yet here in Georgia or Tennessee, I'm sure.
Winter is coming.
Yeah, allegedly. But Travis, man, what's your favorite T-shirt that we put out throughout the couple years we've been doing this?
Oh man, I love the classic Taker Easy, man. I love that's my favorite. I do love that one. I love the unique one that my wife made for sure, and I love the King of Gong Style. I need to purchase that this weekend with our sale. So I don't mind waiting for the sale to get it. But yeah, I think I'm about to give me a King Gong Style. But I do love Taker Easy. It's good. It's classic. It's a good catchphrase for our show, and yeah, it's all good.
Absolutely. If you'd like to go pick one of those up, go to tpublic.com, search for Talking Taker over there. You can get any of those designs. We've also got the Taker Care of Business. I'm pretty partial to that one.
Oh, excuse me. I wear that one literally every week to work. So yeah, in fact, I'll probably wear it Thursday. So
we've got the I'm a Biker Taker guy, I'm a Biker Taker girl. We've got Bury Me Softly, brother. So, celebrate Rusev's return to the WWE this week to pick up one of those shirts for that one brief moment where he feuded with The Undertaker. And a little bit of that money's going to go into our pocket, help keep the show running. So if you want to drop it, want to drop some money our way, want to support the show, get something, now is the time to do it. I always tell people, wait for the sale to do it. It's fine if you don't pay full price, so go do it this weekend. Head on over there. You don't have to put in any special code or anything. They're just going to be on sale over there, and we would greatly appreciate it. And of course, you mentioned that shirt your wife designed. We would send one of those out to our listeners if you go and ever meet The Undertaker in one of our other podcast t-shirts. You get a special reward with another Talking Taker t-shirt and some other merch. And our buddy Jeremy Bagley has cashed in on that reward. But hey, we'll cash in on it for anybody. If you ever get a picture with The Undertaker in one of our shirts, we got something special going out your way.
Absolutely, we sure do. So thank y'all for the support. Well, that'll bring us back to SmackDown, March 24th, 05. Somebody who needed some support was Hardcore Holly, and he's just floundering in the mid-card, and so is Charlie Haas. And apparently they're tag team now, so they come out for a tag team match against Eddie and Ray, but their entrance is interrupted by the messed up screens, like the flickering of the Tron stuff and the gong, and Taker appears on the Titantron, or the SmackDown Tron, whatever it's called, Ovaltron, Ovaltine, I don't know, but he says,
"Through the years, there have been many dragons who try and lay siege to my kingdom. And one by one, they all suffer the same fate. Painful defeat. Randy Orton, I can't blame you for trying to make a name for yourself by facing me at WrestleMania. But you have to understand, boy, when you slapped me across the face and jumped out of the ring like a coward, you sealed your own destiny. What you've done is awaken the beast. Because the entity that had laid dormant for so long is now awake. The beast shall rise from the ashes. And tonight, there will be a victim. And tonight, there will be a sacrifice."
And so I thought maybe he's going to bring back Midian again.
Ooh, if only.
Yeah.
Another legend.
I've been chosen for a little bit of the Midian. So,
a little bit of the Midian.
Exactly. Let's make some memes of that. A little bit of the Midian. But anyway, well then later on we get a classic Dawn Marie versus Michelle McCool match. And midway through this match, Taker's strobe lights and the glitchy Tron happen again, and so they interrupt. And perhaps the victim he spoke of was going to be his future wife. He was going to sacrifice her this night. Who knows? I don't know. But then we get another classic. That's Rene Dupree versus Booker T. And as Renee's doing the French tickler, which is an uncomfortable sentence to say, Taker's had enough. And the screen gets glitchy again. The gong goes off. And, yeah. Taker comes out there, the lights go out. And when they come back on, Taker is right behind Renee. And there's smoke in the ring. And Booker T remembers his training from Mama Sangre.
That's right. And
he backs away. Doesn't have his little velvet sack pouch thing with him, but he backs away anyway. What's she say? The bones of a mother licker or something. Isn't that old, Greg? Mother licker. The bones of a tree-legged dog. That's what it was. Oh, he doesn't have any tree-legged dogs, but he backs away. And Renee turns around to a huge choke slam. And then Taker just does something that I think we've all been waiting to see. He just takes Renee to the barricade and the ring steps and hits a tombstone on the steps that looks like it really hurt. Like, really hurt both of them the way they fell. Like, it looked so bad. Taker's music hits, and he made good on his warning earlier, so we didn't know. But I really wanted to start a thank you Taker chant right then because that was fantastic. I'm so glad that he just tombstoned Dupree for no reason. I love it. So that was his sacrifice. So.
Thank you, Taker.
Exactly. So.
Can you say that in French?
Oui, oui.
Merci beaucoup, Taker.
Yeah. Merci, Taker.
Well, he's going to show no merci to Randy Orton. No, never mind. I can't. I got nothing. Anyway, that's going to take us over to Monday Night Raw. While Randy Orton's dealing with legends, Undertaker's dealing with Carlito and Rene Dupree. But
yeah,
Randy Orton's going to come out to address the WWE.
The future endeavored.
Randy Orton comes out to address the WWE Universe, and we get a replay of his actions last week, and there is an incredible sign in the crowd. You know, we've seen a lot of these recently where people will do a tombstone that has whoever the Undertaker's opponent is, their date of birth and their date of death being whatever night that they're facing Undertaker. And this is one for Randy Orton for WrestleMania, but it actually has the cause of his death on his tombstone, which, according to this fan, was looking into the eyes of the dragon. That's what's going to be what kills
love
Randy
it.
Orton.
Love it.
Oh, brilliant. And
love it.
You can tell, man, the crowd has turned on him a bit. He's getting some "you suck" chants during his promo.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you take out Stacy Keibler, you're going to upset some people.
How angry were you? Well, if it was Tori, you'd been furious.
I would have jumped into the ring.
Good thing you weren't in Atlanta that night.
Done some CPR if I could have. But Randy Orton makes it clear that he asked Stacy Keibler last week if she thought he could be the Undertaker, and she hesitated. And you are either with him or against him. He says Stacy was a distraction to him, understandable, and he has to eliminate all his distractions heading into WrestleMania. And he said, unlike Taker's other opponents, he's got to eliminate all his distractions, and he's not going to be afraid of the Undertaker. His future does not involve a headstone. It involves a Hall of Fame plaque. And at the bottom of that plaque, it's going to say, Randy Orton, also the only man to ever defeat The Undertaker at WrestleMania. So,
it's a lot of letters.
Inscription on that plaque.
Yeah. Well, when he said his future doesn't involve a headstone, I thought he just wants to be cremated. He put that in his will at a young age.
That makes sense.
I thought that's what he meant.
Yeah. It's always good to plan ahead. Well, Orton says last year he started his undefeated streak, and this year it will continue. And that's
I love that.
Yeah, it makes sense. He's 1-0. Yeah. But 1-0 does not match up to 12-0. As Randy Orton finishes his promo, starts to walk away, the bell tolls, the lights go out, and we get an awesome video. I remember this one to this day, dude. And it starts off counting down from 12 and goes backwards through Undertaker's WrestleMania streak. So it starts off last year with his victory of Kane, and it's got all these great, special effects to the video and filters on it and sound effects on there, black and white, all this awesome stuff, and goes through it match by match. Even Big Boss Man and Giant Gonzalez, clips from all his victories on there. And it ends when it counts down to 0. And that 0 becomes the O in Orton's name. And
love it.
Oh, dude, it was awesome. It was awesome. And it ends with Undertaker telling Randy to rest in peace. And Randy's got bug eyes looking at that video. And then he really starts freaking out because the ring posts suddenly explode into flames. And Randy gets the heck out of Dodge as Undertaker's music plays and the mind games begin.
Yeah, man, I liked it a lot, man. He gets out of that ring of fire, and man, he's mind games are getting to him. He keeps telling himself he's not afraid, but he's obviously showing that he's afraid every time Taker plays a mind trick on him. So I liked it, and I cannot put that video over enough. It was so, whoever the genius was that came up with that, probably Dave Sahadi, it was awesome, man. I loved it.
Yeah, we'll for sure have to put that one on our social media this week. So if you haven't seen it, head on over to Talking Taker on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. We'll put it up on one of those this week. And you got to follow all the accounts because we post different stuff on there throughout the week. So if you want to see all the build-up, all these classic moments, you got to follow us everywhere to get all that good stuff. Man, I'll tell you what. Randy was afraid of this. I would have been afraid of what Kane did backstage right after this because Randy's just sitting there and Kane comes up on him like he's Heidenreich, just jumps up on him from behind, and he tells Randy, "Your mouth said you weren't afraid, but your eyes say something else." And believe me, I faced Undertaker twice at WrestleMania, and I was just lucky to leave with my soul both those times. He tells Randy you can't beat what you don't understand, and tells Randy you have 6 days to prove you're not afraid of Undertaker. And just to be clear, Kane delivered that entire message to Randy as he's standing behind him. Just very awkwardly. It's very odd.
Yeah, he was, it doesn't make any sense, but it was what it was. So, but he's right, man. You got 6 days to prove you're not afraid. So
yeah.
That'll take us to
take us home, Travis. To some
SmackDown.
Very fun stuff on SmackDown.
Oh yeah, take us home, country road, cowboy time. Man. Here we go. So, SmackDown, March 31st, 05. This is the go home show, and I tell you what, man. Teddy Long is pumped for WrestleMania.
WrestleMania season, baby.
Yeah, he is excited. He walks in his office.
I don't know why, because there's no tag team matches on this WrestleMania card.
Dude, I know, no tag team match play. We'll talk about that in a minute. This card is different, but there are 2 interpromotional matches he's heavily vested in. So he walks in and sees Cowboy Bob Orton sitting on his couch, and they embrace like they're long lost lovers, man. He's like, I wasn't planning on seeing you to the Hall of Fame, but Cowboy Bob asks if he can talk to Taker tonight, So he says, Randy won't listen to me, and I think Randy's gone too far, and I love my son, but he's got to do something. He says, and Teddy says, normally I wouldn't recommend somebody talking to Taker, but tonight I'm going to allow it. And then they hug it out like bros again, and he's going to let it happen. So Tony Chimel's going to give us a Hall of Fame worthy introduction here, because again, on Saturday night, 2 nights from now, Cowboy Bob's going to be going into the Hall of Fame, I believe, in 05. So right. Now he does not have his cast on his arm.
No, he does not.
At this point.
He's in great health on this.
He's fantastic. Yeah, he's in great health. That's a great way to put it. So,
and this is his first WWE appearance, I think, in almost 20 years, man.
Oh my!
Nearly, yeah, a little bit less, but close.
Yeah, to it. It's crazy. Well, he comes out and says, it feels good to be back in the ring, but he's here with mixed emotions, and I'm really proud to be going to the Hall of Fame, and proud that I could help mold my son Randy into one of the greatest workers in the world today. And he asked that Undertaker give him a chance to speak with him tonight, and got some Randy Sucks chants going on in the crowd right there, But Taker obliges, and he makes his entrance, and Michael Cole reminds us that Taker is a new beast now. The beast is awoken, so he says there's a fire lit under him, and he still gets the really long entrance. So that fire lit under him hadn't made him walk any faster, so he's still walking slow. But he gets in the ring with Cowboy Bob, and Taker's it's business time, dude. He takes his jacket off.
Oh, yeah.
In the ring with a Hall of Famer, and not yet. Future Hall of Famer in 2
right.
days. And takes jacket off and getting down to business. And Cowboy's like, I don't want any trouble with you. I just want you to hear me out. And just here to talk. So he says, he gave Randy the idea to call out the biggest dog in the yard. And he says, it just means that Randy respects you, and hope you see it that way. But then he says that he thinks that Randy did go too far with the stuff with Stacy and Jake the Snake, and when he slapped you, and he said, I'd like to apologize on Randy's behalf for you, since, it's partially my fault.
But then, Undertaker, I watched Raw, I watched SmackDown, and when I saw you drop that Frenchman on his head, I said to myself, I got to do something. Not that I care about the Frenchman, because I don't, but I care about my son. I love him dearly, and by golly, I think he's gone way overboard in this thing. I just wish that you would go ahead and put the beast back to sleep.
The Frenchman.
Not because I care about the Frenchman, because I'm worried about Randy.
The Frenchman, man.
Yeah. I love that he called him the Frenchman.
Do you think he
good.
always intended to say that, or he forgot Rene Dupree's name?
He did not know his name. Yeah, there's no way he knew that guy's name. He was like, oh, the French guy. Yeah. So, yeah. And he's worried about his son because of what Taker did to the Frenchman. He said, can you please put the beast back to sleep? And Randy's the future of this business, and but he can't be the future if you don't let him make it out of WrestleMania on Sunday. So Taker takes the mic from Cowboy Bob and says, "It took one slap across my face, sealed your son's fate. This Sunday at WrestleMania, Randy Orton will rest in peace." And then he's gonna intimidate Bob here a little bit. So Bob's gonna kneel down and beg. He's never begged in his life, and he says, "Please have mercy on my son." And Taker just kind of shakes his head and goes to walk away. And Cowboy Bob's gonna pull out his grapefruits and grab Taker by the hand and try to pull him back, try to stop Taker from leaving. So
I think that might have been where he injured his hand. He just gripped a little too hard on Undertaker's handshake there.
Maybe he did. So, as you might imagine, Taker does not enjoy being grabbed by the hand, and he didn't like that. So he turns around, but as he does, Randy Orton sneaks in behind him, and Taker turns around into an RKO. So Taker,
out of nowhere.
Yeah, man, out of nowhere. I didn't realize how far back the out of nowhere thing went, but definitely was out of nowhere. And Bob and Randy are going to X up the ramp. In fact, Randy is like shooing Bob out of the ring, like, we got to go. So, and it looks like it was all a setup here, because you could see Cowboy Bob congratulating, Randy on doing this, and but they're kind of in cahoots. You can tell that this was all a big ruse, and Taker's trying to get up off the mat, but he can't. He really puts over the RKO. He face plants back to the ring, and that's, again, if you get someone like Taker putting that over, that's a big deal, And I know personally one of my favorite finishers of all time was always the diamond cutter, because you could hit it out of nowhere. And I mean, Randy took that from DDP, and so I wasn't a huge fan because of that, because I like DDPs, but I've grown to really like Orton's in the years, and I like how he pulls it out of nowhere. It's kind of one of his gimmicks, you kind of want to see what's he going to do. But I liked it, man. It was really cool, and I like the great character development for Randy. He's got a new sense of urgency here with Taker. And again, there's been a slap and an RKO. It's the only physicality we've seen between the two. So kind of going back to that old mold of Taker feuds, they don't really touch before the actual match itself, and it builds anticipation.
Absolutely. This was a great go-home segment. I never really cared about Cowboy Bob Orton too much. He was a little before my time.
Yeah.
But
I love the cast, but other than that,
yeah. This was a great way to use him and tie him into this storyline, and everyone in here just hit their roles perfectly for this segment. Great little add-on, and really, again, cementing Randy Orton's heel character and adding some drama and some mystery into WrestleMania. They don't hit you over the head that Cowboy Bob's going to get involved at Mania, but kind of leave that door open that, that's an option for Randy, another way that he could steal a victory over The Undertaker, and he is getting pushed maybe the hardest ever as someone who could defeat The Undertaker at WrestleMania. Yeah. We head to it, man. WrestleMania 21, our main feature presentation here. WrestleMania Goes Hollywood on April 3rd, 2005 from the Staples Center in Los Angeles, California. Very interesting show.
It's so weird to see them in the Staples Center, which is so small compared to where they have Manias at now, it's just so, it was so weird to see back, because even before this, they had it at the Astrodome. They had it at Safeco Field, big place, but now they're kind of in a smaller arena. Yeah. At Staples Center. It was different, but
next year's going to be the last one, Chicago.
Yeah.
I think it's the last one they do in an arena before it.
Yeah.
They blow it all up.
Yeah, make it bigger than anything needs to be. So, but we did not watch this one live together. Unfortunately, we had done that with obviously 2004. We were there together.
Yeah, we were there that
2003. We didn't. We covered that. You watched it with some friends, and I didn't get a chance to catch it with y'all. And then, but 2002 we watched together, and this one we didn't.
It eventually.
We did watch it. Yeah, we did. We did get to see it. You'd rented it, I believe, and we watched it at your house.
I purchased it. They came out. Yeah,
okay.
DVD and the DVD. And, I think we had to split it up, man. It's such a long show. I think we ended up watching it 2 different sessions, but we did get together and watch this one. And, of course, heard all about it, read all about it. And,
yeah.
Man, what are your overall thoughts on this show? Because it's kind of a mixed bag for me. I know a lot of people kind of rate it pretty highly when I see, best WrestleManias ever, and it definitely has some great stuff on it, man. But I don't know.
I think it's, to me, I feel like it's underrated overall,
really?
Honestly. I mean, yeah, maybe that's just me, but there are definitely some duds like Akabono and Big Show and the women's match, but it's weird, man. There's no tag title matches and no mid-card title matches. No IC, no US, no Raw tag, no SmackDown tag. It's so crazy, but it is that 3 guys are made as main eventers here. Yeah. Obviously, Cena beating JBL, ending that 10-month title reign, and he's going to become the face of the company for he still is, even though he doesn't wrestle every week now. He still is. Batista's going to be that big win on Triple H. He's going to be solidified as main eventer. Now he's a leading man in Hollywood. And then Orton, even though this match ends in a loss for him, spoiler alert, he's made as a main eventer here. He kind of was last year with Foley at Backlash, but this is the real test, and he gets made, in my opinion. And then obviously you're gonna get the Money in the Bank, which has a huge legacy, and then
True.
A match that I can't talk enough about, which HBK and Angle. I mean, it's just freaking wrestling clinic. But I don't know, man. I think it's a lot of good stuff on it, but it's I don't feel like people ever talk about it. It's one of the better ones. I mean, I don't know. I feel like it gets shoved under the rug. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the highs are really high, I think, for sure.
Yeah.
But for me, the lows are really low.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
just
I agree.
Really hit and miss show. And even those matches with Cena and Batista, they definitely get elevated, and it's huge, but those aren't great matches, either one of those, I don't think. But I thought you do have Money in the Bank and Angle and Michaels, like you mentioned, and this match, which we'll get to and share our thoughts on. It's so funny. I just realized as you're talking about it, this is WrestleMania Goes Hollywood. It's the crowning moments for Cena and Batista, and who would have ever thought both those guys would be mega movie stars?
Yeah, I know.
All these years later, man, that's so funny that they went Hollywood after all.
That is funny. That didn't even occur to me. Yeah, I mean, Batista's in really big movies, and then John Cena just
movie of all time.
Yeah, and John Cena just got announced to be in Suicide Squad, which is like a legit movie. It's not like Bumblebee. It's legit, all the Bumblebee was legit too, but still, I'm just saying, he's gonna be in a movie with big names,
absolutely.
Margot Robbie and Viola Davis. Those are big names and stuff. So anyway, yeah, I had no idea. It didn't occur to me. But WrestleMania going to Hollywood, and here we go. The wrestlers go Hollywood. So
I think one other sour point on it for me, maybe, I don't know, sour, maybe that's too strong, but this is a huge somebody say something about nostalgia type of show as well, because you got Hogan with a big segment, Austin and Piper all have a big segment on this show. You talk about it kind of being a weird card that eats up a lot of time for these undercard guys, and talk about the evolution of the business and the WWE. That's what we see WrestleMania becoming, more and more of a showcase for the part-timers here, and we're seeing more and more legends. We're talk about that build. We had Jake the Snake, Cowboy Bob in there, Billy Graham,
Superstar Billy,
Marty Jannetty, Sensational Sherry, all part of storylines now. It's a very, very different time where they're leaning a lot more heavily on the names of the past to build things up rather than the new generation, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's different. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying the card is phenomenal overall. I just feel like it doesn't get talked about as much overall. But I mean, I still enjoy the show. But the best match on it is HBK and Angle. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. And now Guerrero Mysterio open up. They're tag team champions that open up the show against each other. It's kind of weird. You could definitely see the more important things in Vince's mind at this point was the nostalgia, like you said, rather than the titles. Because the titles would be in a hill of beans at this point, except for the main ones, So.
And that match, of course, it's unfortunate that Rey Mysterio can't keep his mask on for that entire match. Like, it should be a classic, like their Halloween Havoc match, but he spends, after every move, he has to go adjust his mask on his head, and you can tell it throws them off, and they don't quite have the match that you would have liked them to see on the WrestleMania stage, and sadly, Eddie Guerrero's final WrestleMania appearance as well.
Yeah, he went from, co-main eventing last year to jerking the curtain this year.
Yeah.
But they do say if you're not the last match, you want to be the first match. Just kind of set the tone for the show. But anyway.
Well, who wants to be the third match on the show?
Nobody. That's what we're going to get here. Taker and Orton. Third match on the card, man. That's so spot. Weird.
Yeah. Especially they followed that Mysterio Guerrero, the first ever Money in the Bank, and then Hulk Hogan coming out and defeating the evil terrorist Muhammad Hassan. Like, good luck, guys.
Yeah, exactly. And you can tell when we get to this match because the crowd's a little bit dead for a minute, but they're going to pick things up. But it's a Raw vs. SmackDown match. We got Taz and Cole in commentary and really good video package. With all the stuff. It's a really long one. It's like the ones nowadays. They're like, we got to eat up 4.5 hours of pay-per-view. Let's do 10-minute 10-minute promos for everybody. But it ends with that the visual of Taker trying to get up from that RKO on SmackDown and falling back to the mat. That's the last thing you see. So kind of putting the heat on Orton there. That's what you want. You want the heat on the bad guy. Going into the payoff with the good guy gets the big win. So that's Wrestling 101. So
that's right, dude. And
nowadays they book babyface heat, which is stupid. All the babyfaces get stand strong, tall for everything. But anyway.
Well, they really, really did do an excellent job of making you think that the streak was in jeopardy tonight, dude. I remember thinking, I thought for sure Randy Orton was going to beat the streak, man, because the streak did not have, it felt like a big deal, but it did not feel like, as it felt in later years, it kind of grew to become like, well, no one's ever going to beat the streak. Right. You just kind of rolled your eyes. It's obvious Undertaker's going to win. At this time, though, especially with Randy Orton's gimmick, the Legend Killer thing, and them, I mean,
youngest champion,
like, even more than Cena and Batista, it felt like they thought Orton was the guy. Like, they were giving him the God-level push over everybody during this time. I was honestly, I was surprised that Randy Orton didn't win this one. And it would have made sense, man. It would have worked.
It would have made sense, yeah, absolutely. And allegedly, I've heard and read, in the scuttlebutt that he was offered to win it, but he turned it down. I don't know how true that is, but if that is the case, good on knowing your old young kid. Imagine if he was like, yeah, I'll take it. And you're like, no way, dude, you don't do that. So I do remember Pritchard saying that Mark Henry was offered that match, that casket match we're going to cover eventually. He was supposed to win that, and he said no thanks. So I do. But
I've heard those things. I don't know how much I buy into them, but
I don't think you offer
to think about.
I don't think you offer a 24. Hey, you want to be Taker this year?
Yeah,
no.
I mean, they don't ask guys typically, do you want to win? Like, they decide who's going to be. So take that with a grain of salt.
But the fact that he's in here against Taker is a big pat on the back anyway. So, like you said, it's the third main event. You got 2 title matches and you got this basically. Yeah. As far I'm saying the streak match is going to become. This is where it starts as becoming a main event. So
it does. It really helps cement that legacy going forward.
Well, speaking of legacy, to open this match, we're going to get the Latin chanting and those little Gregorian chants, and about 10 druids come out, and one of them's Charlie Haas. I'm just saying, but they make their way down, and you can just see his little beard. But anyway, they make their way. I don't think Kenzo's gone at this point. I think he got fired. But anyway, they make their way down and surround the ring. And again, it's a short ramp. It was so weird to me to see how short the ramp was. At Mania, I'm used to it being like a football field long. But they surround the ring, and Taker's music hits, and he appears at the top of the entranceway. And smoke covers the aisleway. And then Taker is going to go in the Wayback Machine and levitate to the ring, apparently. So...
Yeah, dude, this was pretty wild. A very cool entrance. He
Yeah.
pulls a David Blaine and just levitates all the way to the ring. You can
I
tell.
loved it.
Yeah, I loved it too. You know, he's obviously riding some little ramp out to
Yeah.
the ring, but it's hidden in the smoke, so it gives off a
Sure.
very cool special effect. And it's great as you're just watching it and taking it in and be like, oh, that looks really cool. And then Taz has to go and ruin it, as he
Yeah.
says on commentary, like a 6-year-old. Oh, my mind is blown by this. The Undertaker's levitating. How is he doing that, Cole? What is happening here? Like,
I know, he
Bro.
ruined it.
bro,
Yeah, just let me have
just
that
let it
moment.
happen.
Yeah.
We know we know he's not really levitating because
Yeah.
he stops when he gets
Yeah.
like 5 feet from the ring and he starts having to walk. Like,
Exactly.
he doesn't just float into the ring. Like, just let it look cool. We don't have to
I
talk
know.
about it.
Less is more sometimes. I will say they don't lay out as much on his entrances as they used to. They used to lay out and not speak over his entrance a lot. They've been talking a lot more recently in these days. So I wish they'd lay out a little bit, because then stupid stuff like that wouldn't come out of their beaks, you know.
That's right.
But tell you what, man, Taker has been working out for this match. He is looking ripped. And
he had the tanning bed in Hollywood
He
too,
hit
man.
the tan in the can, man. He is looking right. You can't say he wasn't like Sting at Starrcade. They said he wasn't tan enough. He just wasn't tan enough.
Oh my god.
Oh man. Anyway, and then Taker's going to bring the lights up and enter the ring, and the Druids are going to leave. And then Cole, I'm sorry, man, I have to point this out, but he's like, Taker's winning streak is like it's like an NFL team winning the Super Bowl 12 years in a row. And I see where he's headed there, but Taker's not undefeated in championship matches at WrestleMania.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, the Super Bowl is
The
the
championship.
championship. And so, I don't know.
It's kind of like the Atlanta Braves winning their division for 15 years or whatever they did
Yeah,
in
there
the
you go,
90s.
yeah.
And they won one
Exactly.
World Series.
Exactly.
Taker's won one championship at WrestleMania, but
Exactly.
he's got all those other wins in his matches.
Much better analogy.
Yeah,
So,
that's what he should have
but-
gone with.
yeah. Anyway, it was weird seeing Taker come out first, but once you saw the, conveyor belt, you realized why he came out first. So, but yeah.
Yeah, and we should say Cole and Taz are on commentary here, despite this being an interpromotional match, and they don't really explain that at all. Should have been maybe like Cole and King or Taz and JR, but whatever. We'll take Cole and Taz, I guess, because that's what they give us. And Randy Orton's going to come out second. Again, as you mentioned, interesting, but it makes sense with Taker's entrance. And he's looking confident, man. And I tell you what, dude, if he ever decided to bring back his his pyro from during this time, I would mark out. Man, I loved it.
I love that. He and Christian both had that, like, golden, like, the sparklers. I almost said golden shower coming down on them. Sorry. But, yeah, I loved it, man. If they ever decide to bring pyro back. So, well, I guess a couple years ago we got that snake that swam down the
Pyro for Mania, you know?
Yeah. Well, they get rid of that swimmy snake that went down the ramp the other year. That was stupid. But, yeah, bring back this gold pyro. It was awesome. Awesome.
Well, Randy and Taker, they start the match out here. Start with a little stare down, and Randy, he plays some mind games with Undertaker starting out. He kind of evades Undertaker, he backs into the corner, then ducks out of Undertaker's way, uses that speed and youth to run away from him as the match gets underway, and then he makes first contact with Undertaker by a little callback to their contract signing and slaps Undertaker across the face.
Yeah, that's never a good move, but yeah, he does slap him, like you said, and then Taker's going to respond with a side headlock. So, but I will tell you, yeah, man, I will tell you what, man, there's a lot of movement in this match. Like, it's very, they're not like doing a lot of physicality at this point yet. It's just a slap and a headlock, but there's movement in the ring, and that draws your attention no matter what's going on, man. It's just, that's wrestling 101, and that's Taker right there just leading this match. So it's awesome. I love to see the movement there. So really good stuff, man. And then Taker is going to get hit with one of Orton's, he's got a great looking drop kick, and he even had a good one back then, and he hits it, and then He's going to hit a humongous back body drop.
Oh, yeah.
Taker. Just, I mean, you didn't see that back then, you know? Like, he gets a huge back body drop on Taker, so that was pretty cool to see.
Taker retaliates and just straight punches Randy Orton right in the face and sends him down, puts him in his place, and heads into the corner with some punches and elbows and a little trademark referee intimidation on Earl Hebner right there, sending him flying, which was always funny to see. And then Taker sends Randy into the other corner and runs after him, but Randy does this little roll up. I don't know how you describe it, but he used to do it a lot back then. I don't know if he does it as much anymore, but kind of flips over him into a roll up to get a 2 count on him. Goes for a drop kick, goes for a quick RKO on Taker early on, but Taker ends up tossing him out of the ring and avoids that.
Yeah, I mean, he literally throws him over the top rope, and he lands on the mat and rolls in the announce table. It was impressive. So Taker's going to put Randy on the apron and get that patented apron leg drop, and then going to in the ring go for old school, and again hits it awkwardly because Randy's a little too close to him. But that happened with Luther Reigns as well and Heidenreich. But some of these green guys, they just don't know how far away to stand. But it's okay. I mean, wrestling's not supposed to look pretty. I mean, it's supposed to simulate a real fight. It's not supposed to look too choreographed. So I do appreciate some of this ugliness sometimes.
Man, you bring up Luther Reigns, and God, I don't know how long he was a wrestler for. I mean, he'd been in WCW
since '96 or '7.
Mid-'90s, power plant sort of stuff. Look at that match with Undertaker, and then Randy Orton's been in the business for
3
years max. It's already leagues above that. Same with Heidenreich. I mean, they probably been in the business around the same amount of time, and you can just tell leaps and bounds what a difference Orton makes. And obviously he's a third generation, I guess. Yeah. But still, man, it's crazy to see just leaps and bounds how much better he is. And he's not that great even yet at this point.
Right, yeah, exactly. The bar was very low with those two we just covered. So, but yeah, man, it's absolutely. And the Taker's going to miss a boot in the corner and go over to the apron, and then Randy's going to actually hit him from the apron, and Taker's going to splash all the way down to the barricade and hit himself, which I don't think we've seen that since that John Cena match that he had back at whatever that was in 2003 or something. He jumped all the way from the apron to the barricade and hit his ribs on it. So
he's taking a beating.
Big bump.
He's selling for Randy big time here.
Mm-hmm.
Randy sends Taker back into the ring and gets some strikes in on him, and Taker tries to fight back, but Randy just nails him with a clothesline, gets a 2 count. Be a lot of 2 counts and near falls in this match, which is a nice touch. And Taker recovers from that, gets his patented running DDT for a 2 count of his own. He nails a sidewalk slam for another 2 count. We always talk about Taker trying to end the match, trying to treat it like a real contest, and he's definitely doing that here. He starts building momentum and whips Randy into the ring post back and forth. Then starts going for the moves of doom with the snake eyes and the big boot, but Randy gets a shot in on Taker to counter him and get a 2 count of his own. Yeah,
he's going to start. He hits an elbow, and Randy's going to slow things down with some clubbing blows, as Michael Cole says, to the chest, and he's going to do his his little Randy Orton pose and get some serious boos from the crowd. Man, just I don't know, man. He's got the heel stuff down, man. He's such a better heel than he is a babyface. Because you want to hate it. Like, I hate to compare him to somebody that's current, but Baron Corbin is a much better heel than he is babyface, and he did stuff like this in his recent King of the Ring match. He would be beating up Chad Gable, but he would stop and pose to the crowd and get that heel heat because everybody hates him, and that's what people were doing here to Randy Orton. I mean, he knew what to do, so I appreciate that. And Taker's going to sit up. And gets a big pop from the L.A. crowd.
Oh, yeah.
Randy sucks chants from L.A. as he's punching Taker, and Taker's going to respond with some soup bones of his own. Start taking him to the young kid here.
Oh, yeah. Adam Sandler and Rob Schneider are really getting into it.
You can do it! You can do it!
God, what if Schneider was in Taker's corner, man?
You can do it!
That'd been awesome. Oh.
Happy doobie. Whoopity-doo.
Well, then kind of about this point, this is one of my only critiques of this match. Randy and Taker have like a really weird malfunction at the junction about this time, and I guess they both went for a clothesline here, and Randy ends up taking the bump off of it. I don't know what was supposed to happen, but it was kind of a mess right here.
I can only imagine that Taker's calling this match, obviously, right? And he probably said clothesline, but Randy didn't know me or you. You know what I'm saying? So I'm making this up. I can just imagine he would say, whatever, duck clothesline, but like he didn't know. So they both went for it. But I tell you what, man, as green as Randy is, he realizes in a bit of humor, like, I have to take this bump. Taker's not going to fall down for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he does it in a split second. I respect it, man. I respect his work. Like, I don't know. So he took the bump, but yeah, it was ugly, but it is what it is, man. So, but then Taker is going to get some good stuff going on here.
Yeah, he looks a little frustrated as he has to go for a pin there, and but he recovers. They both recover. And Taker's going to lock in the Taker care of business on the WrestleMania stage. Not called that anymore. They've just called it a Dragon Sleeper after giving it that awesome name during the Biker Taker era.
You know what just now occurred to me, though?
I think I know where you're going.
He's the Dragon.
He is the Dragon.
Yes. That's his whole thing now. So, you know what? I know that's not supposed to be what they're going for. They just forgot and started calling it Dragon Sleeper. But we're going to say here that that's what they're going for.
I'll do it.
He's the Dragon Sleeper. So, man, I love it.
Well, I loved Earl Hebner doing the old arm lift on Randy to see if he's going to pass out and submit, which, man, is just lost to time, that whole idea of someone submitting that way. And, man, that's what I grew up on. That's what I understood wrestling to be. So it always makes me sad that that's not what they do to see if someone's going to submit from a chokehold anymore. I know it doesn't really make sense these days with tap outs and MMA and all that good stuff, but I still wish they did that. But it's interesting. It's usually the babyface who is going to be the one who's getting their arm lifted and doesn't go down at 3 and fights back out of it. It's such a great spot. I don't know why they don't do it, but it's weird that it's a heel doing it here, but Randy does counter it, and he turns it into a reverse DDT. Yeah,
it's a reverse DDT, taking page out of Sting's book, and then he's going to get the old classic Randy Orton future signature move, the old rear chin lock, rear naked choke, whatever you want to call it. So slowing things down, pulling things to a screeching halt there, but Taker's not going to let it sit too long. He's going to punch his way out, but then Orton locks in a sleeper again, and Taker's going to reverse that into a back suplex, and then both guys get up on their feet, and they kind of Irish whip each other, and Randy's going to catch Taker with that power slam that he's come. It's one of my favorite Randy Orton signatures nowadays. He was kind of learning how to do it back then, but I do love how it comes out of nowhere nowadays. But he hits Taker with that power slam, a real quick power slam, and gets a 2 count. So
it does. It's a nice little near fall, and then Randy goes up to the top rope, gets Taker in the corner, and goes for the 10 punches in the corner.
Dumb.
Of course. He hadn't been studying his tape, dude.
No.
Taker catches him in the last ride, and man, that spot always gets a big pop from the crowd. They love that spot. But he doesn't actually get the last ride on him, because Randy's going to slip out of it, and Undertaker ends up shoving Randy into Earl Hebner, which is going to lead us into another, I think, malfunction here. Man, this is a weird moment that happens here.
Yeah, like you said, Randy's trying to RKO, and Taker pushes Orton into Hebner, and then Taker's going to get the last ride, like an actual last ride powerbomb. And when he gets him up, Randy falls on top of him, and I don't know if. Okay, immediately after that, Taker sits up and turns around, and Cowboy Bob runs in and hits him with his cast.
Yes.
So I think you and I are on the same page, thinking that Bob was supposed to run in and hit Taker when he had Randy up in the last ride. Is that what you think, dude?
That's my guess. Either that or he was supposed to hit the last ride, because, Randy falls on top of Taker, and then Taker is the one who gets right back up to be there for Cowboy Bob's spot. So Taker was not supposed to go down like that. But it makes the most sense if Bob was supposed to come in and nail Taker with the cast, and then Randy falls on top and pins him. But it's momentary. People forget about it as soon as Cowboy Bob comes out, because it is a very surprising spot.
Sure, yeah. But you know what I love, man, about Bob is that he's got his cast on, man. He did not have it on Thursday. Now he has it on now.
Yes.
I love it. So
Brilliant.
yeah, it's great. But Randy gets a 2 count off of that cast shot, and Taker sits up.
Great near fall, man. You hear the crowd just like get up on their feet and start cheering when Taker kicks out of that one.
Oh yeah, that's a perfect near fall, and we're gonna get an even better one here in just a second too. Taker starts punching Randy, and Bob is on the apron, and Taker just runs at him and boots him off the apron like he's a fly in the ointment or something. Man, I don't know. He just gets rid of him, and then Taker's gonna go for a choke slam, and I'll let you take it from here. It's fantastic. I love this.
He goes for a choke slam, and Randy slithers out of it like the Viper that he is into an RKO out of nowhere, and that gets another giant reaction from the crowd. They think that's going to be it. Everyone sitting at home watching on pay-per-view thinks that's going to be it. 1, 2, barely the Undertaker kicks out of that one. What a moment.
Talk about a false finish. That is a perfect false finish, and it's because the RKO has been protected up to this point.
Yeah,
I mean, it really has. There's something about and good about false finishes and hitting big moves on each other, and Seth Rollins having hit the curb stomp 4 times on Braun Strowman, but like also it waters stuff down. The stunner, you knew if Austin hit the stunner, it was over. Triple H hit pedigree, it was over. Randy Orton hit RKO, was over. And because Taker sold it so well that Thursday on SmackDown and he couldn't get up, people bought into it, I mean, and when he hit that RKO, there was no one sitting down. Everyone was standing up. And they're booing because they think in their mind, this guy's about to beat the streak. Not even the fact that he's going to win the match. He's going to defeat the streak, and people are booing the thought of that, And so when he does kick out Taker, that pop is even bigger, man, just because that's been so protected. I love this part of that match, man. I absolutely love it. I don't remember loving it back then, but I love it now. I love this part of the match.
Oh, yeah. It just reminds me, too. Just think of some of the great near falls Taker has had just WrestleMania alone. With Arn Anderson running in on the spine buster.
Golly, yeah.
That was an incredible near fall. Triple H whacking him with the sledgehammer when he's up for the last ride. He is just masterful at working the crowd and knowing how to do that. I mean, I'm sure some other guys help, when working the match out, come up with some of those spots. I don't know who to give credit for, but there's a reason why they keep happening in Undertaker matches. You got to know he knows exactly when to do those things and how to get the crowd suckered in just to think, oh, man, thought it was going to be it.
Yeah, and I mean, if I hadn't known what happened, I would have thought it was going to be it too. You and I were watching it months after it came out, but the crowd is totally invested at this point, man. And then Orton does the throat slash. He mocks Taker and does his own throat slash and signals for the Tombstone, or does like the Otis dance, like Otis does. That's a little Orton doesn't dance, but he does a little signal like for Tombstone. Looks like the Otis dance, and Orton gets Taker up in the Tombstone position, but Taker, flips backwards and flips Orton up and holds Orton up in the Tombstone, and the crowd is on their feet again, and he's going to nail the Tombstone and cover Randy Orton for the win here. 14 minutes and 45 seconds. So.
Randy Orton using the Undertaker's legendary side. He's not going to Tombstone. He's going for the Tombstone. Oh, no. That's the Undertaker's finishing move. What the hell? And Undertaker reversed it. He's looking at the Tombstone. Pile driver. Wow. Here's the cover. Goodbye. He got him. What a match. 13 minutes for the Undertaker. Man. Undertaker. An amazing match right there, ladies and gentlemen. I'll tell you what, Cole. That was awesome. 13-0 to start is apropos, but what an outing by Randy Orton.
The Undertaker goes to 13-0 at WrestleMania. And wouldn't you know it, there's already some folks in the crowd that have some signs ready to go just for that moment, man. Epic finish here. What a conclusion. What a reaction for Undertaker. They are on their feet cheering as he celebrates and hits the Shakespeare pose. And man, the finish makes it feel like it's in the main event.
I know. It does, man. It's good. And I mean, Orton got over in this loss. You know, you can get over in a loss. And again, it's because the crowd bought that he was going to win with that false finish. You know, Taker did his job. He helped get this guy over just with that one false finish, in my opinion. I don't know. I love that, man. It's awesome. And this guy really got solidified as a main eventer. Like, forget the world title win. Forget the Mick Foley stuff. This right here, like, to me, really put him in the upper echelon, you know, of their, you know, the future superstars they're going to have. So, and that's a big rub right there, man. I love it. So
yeah, I would say, I mean, the Mick Foley stuff was big, but yeah, I would say this, even like you just mentioned, even more than the world title win. I think this helps establish Randy Orton, especially because he's a heel, and that's what Randy Orton should always be.
Absolutely,
He's a heel, and that world title win as a babyface didn't ever do him any favors. But man, the last 5 minutes of that match was incredible and awesome, and I loved it. And that's what matters, is how you end it. I will say I don't think the first chunk of the match was anything great. Like, Randy Orton was still, you know, leagues better than Heidenreich or Luther Reigns, but he's still pretty green. And we talked about some of the sloppiness in here, and that was just okay for me. But man, the last few minutes of the match really, really amp it up, and just goes to show you, man, what the Undertaker can do with somebody with even just the slightest bit of potential, as opposed to these other jabrones.
Exactly. I mean, I personally enjoyed this match a lot. I think it might just be because we're coming off the slump we've been in, you know,
sure.
What matches that we've been covering and stuff. So it may be that, maybe a little biased because I'm just, it's a breath of fresh air, you know. But like, I remember liking it back then, but I really liked it a lot more than I thought I would this time. And just because the ending, I guess just because there was so much movement until Randy started hitting those just sleepers or whatever to put you to sleep. But like, as far as there's a lot of movement going on in the match. I liked it. So, yeah, man. And I do think it's funny too, just to note here so SmackDown won this match against Raw, and Angle wins against HBK, but SmackDown's always the B show. But they win both the interpromotional matches. I thought it was kind of neat. So a little a little feather in their cap, I guess. So
absolutely, and I would say it is definitely worth watching for the for the finish alone, but just the historical context of this for Randy Orton's career and for the Undertaker's career, because this is a true turning point in his career as he becomes a character that is all about the streak, and it's going to continue to build over the next decade. How deep and how important that streak is. As you mentioned, it becomes basically a title at WrestleMania, is him defending that streak. It's unlike anything else in WWE history, and you can really point to here where we make that turning point. The first 15 years of his career is building up that legacy to where it can be established as something important, and here is where it becomes that thing that he's fighting for, and it boosts Undertaker into even more of a legend status. This whole idea of the streak.
Yeah, because he didn't need a title match to be. He didn't need a title to be, you know, an attraction. He'll have a title match at WrestleMania. We'll cover, but
a couple more.
But he didn't need them. You know, the match is what it is itself. You know, CM Punk. Sorry, you didn't go on last WrestleMania 13, or WrestleMania 29, but you were in the main event, dude. Sorry. We'll cover that eventually. So
we will, but before we get there, we're gonna keep this hearse, time traveling hearse, rolling onto the last ride, and we're gonna make a few more pit stops, Travis, and deep into the pits, because next week the fun has got to end, at least for 1 week. It's
gonna be a blast.
A very special episode and examination of another one of the weird one-offs, and honestly, one of the reasons why we wanted to do The Undertaker for this podcast is because all of the weird one-offs A guy by the name of Muhammad Hassan gets his moment in the sun with The Undertaker at the Great American Bash as the American BA stands up for his country yet again in a very controversial match. Much to talk about next week here.
Oh, yeah. A lot to talk about, so you will be excited to cover that one. A lot of outside the ring drama to cover as well with that one.
Yes.
So
we will get to that, but before we get there, we of course want to hear all of your comments on this week. Hit us up on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram at Talking Taker and let us know what you thought of this match. Let us know what you thought of this episode, what you thought of our opinions on here. We got some poll results from last week, Travis, and I threw a poll up for asking people, you gotta pick one. Who's your ride or die? Is it gonna be Heidenreich or Luther Reigns? The last two idiots that we covered on this show, and this might have been the most unanimous poll we've ever run on our Twitter page, as I believe 93% of the folks said if they were forced to pick, they had to go with Heidenreich over Luther Reigns. And can't say I disagree with them, man.
No, I agree wholeheartedly. Yeah, I'd rather take him than Horseshoe any day.
Well, we got some awesome comments from everybody on this match as well. Very, very memorable to so many of you out there. At Hamani Cart 617 said, "This Mania had me nervous as hell because I thought Orton was winning, just like so many of us out there." Evan John 97 talked about what you mentioned, Travis. Randy asking or being asked to be the one, but declining out of respect. Of course, we don't know. Maybe, possibly, there's some truth to there. At Live for Greatness said the same thing that a lot of people said, talking about that RKO reversal from the chokeslam. Said he had 11-year-old him believing Orton was going to beat him, just like so many other people out there. At Watch Wrestle Pod, Watch Along Wrestling said, man, I can't agree with him on this one. He said, this was the first year I was rooting against the streak. And what? Orton hit the RKO. I jumped up and screamed, streak over.
Streak over.
Streak over.
Jim Brewer.
Yeah. Watch Wrestle Pod, you are canceled, my friend. No, sir.
No.
You can't be having that.
No, you canceled.
At Keegan Spectator, Keegan Dramitrovic said, such an underrated match. The last 5 minutes, absolutely amazing. Randy Turco, Pokey's Little Dog, said, more than any other Mania, including Mania 30, he thought this was going to be the one the streak was over. Because, as we mentioned, he was the young stud. Seemed like he was getting the rub, and I can't believe it. He's still a little bitter about Brock Lesnar actually being the guy to end that streak.
Luckily, we saved that for a 37-year-old who already was made.
We'll get to that one. Philip Gold said, talk about that RKO out of the chokeslam. Said it's been underrated near spot. I agree with that. And at Princeton John, too, said, a great match that should be talked about more. Everyone was on the edge of their seat. Absolutely, folks. So we appreciate those comments. It's fun to relive all of that with you. Thanks for everyone who shares with us on Twitter. Thanks to Adam Davis on YouTube. He's been leaving comments on all our YouTube videos. So we do post the podcast on there and on a lot of different podcasting apps, including the app Stitcher. So, folks, we do have our podcast over on Stitcher, and if you listen to stuff on Stitcher, if you listen to your podcast there, you know that they have something called Stitcher Premium, where you can get even more podcasts. You can get the archives of thousands of other podcasts on there. You can listen to podcasts ad-free over there. And that normally costs $4.99 a month or $34.99 a year, which is still an incredible deal. But you can check it out for a month free with our code, folks. We got a special code for you on Stitcher Premium. Enter the code TalkingTaker, all one word over there, and you will get your first month free of Stitcher Premium. So you can listen to our show, you can listen to a lot of other great wrestling shows, sports shows, comedy shows, fantasy football, movies, TV shows, whatever you want to listen to. There's shows on Twitter with bonus episodes, ad-free, and original episodes that you'll only find over on Stitcher Premium. So go enter the promo code TalkingTaker over there to get that special discount deal. And
Talking Taker over there? All one word?
No, just Talking Taker.
Oh, okay.
Hard stop over there. Whatever.
There you go. Okay.
And
I just
finally,
want to clarify for those listening at home.
please, make it clear over there. And finally, speaking of podcasts, I want to give one last shout out over to our buddies, our brother podcast, the Bottom Line podcast, going through the career of Stone Cold Steve Austin. Maybe they'll cover this Mania because Stone Cold kicks off the show with an awesome Gladiator promo. And
oh my goodness.
Does the stuff with Roddy Piper on here. I don't know, guys. Are you going to cover some of Austin's other appearances after his career is over? I wonder how you guys are going to do that. But congratulations. They have hit their 1 year mark. And we know how important that is, how special that is, how much work goes into this, and how much time and effort goes into it. They put in just as much, if not more, than we do with all their research and work over there. So if you haven't, go check those guys out. The Bottom Line Wrestling Podcast. You can listen to them anywhere podcasts are found. Happy birthday, guys. Congratulations.
Wicked awesome.
Open up a cold Steve Weiser on us.
Oh, no. Broken Skull IPA.
Excuse me. Yeah.
That's all he talks about nowadays. Oh, man. Do you think he told Vince, like, I'll come back every week for Raw as long as let me push my IPA?
100%.
He's been on Raw like 3 times this year.
Yeah.
Anyway. Well, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate you guys sticking with us for, 110 episodes so far? And plenty more to go.
And this one's about 110 minutes, so fits right
in. Yeah, there you go. We're going to wrap it up here. So if you were at the Staples Center on April 3rd, this night, let us know, were you one of the ones jumping out of your seat at that near fall, that false finish, and do you think that Randy Orton was actually going to beat Taker here? Because a lot of us we bid on that and thought he could have. So anyway, let us know if you were there, what your thoughts were. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next week. Take her easy.
I know what you're thinking. Did he fire 6 shots? Or was it only 5? But to tell you the truth, in all this excitement, I kind of lost track myself. But being this is a .44 Magnum, the most powerful handgun in the world, it would blow your head clean off. You have to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk? To know. WrestleMania Goes Hollywood, live Sunday, April 3rd, only on pay-per-view. Son of a bitch. What'd you just say?